Welcome back. We want to update you now on our top story that's been developing out of Southern California for the past several hours. An apparent mass suicide in a luxury mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, about 20 miles north of San Diego. Police say at least 39 bodies, all of them white males between the ages of 18 and 24, have been found inside the 5,000 square foot mansion. You're seeing videotape of what the compound looked like earlier this afternoon. It is now dark there. There are choppers in the sky from our affiliate stations. We'll be continuing to bring you live updates from the scene. There is some speculation that these people may have been involved in a religious cult. The house was rented out last October, and there isn't any indication as yet whether they're related to a mass suicide in Quebec of 5 members of the Order of the Solar Temple. Devotees of that cult believe suicide transports them from a new life on a planet called Sirius. Over the past 3 years, murder-suicides by temple followers have resulted in 74 deaths in Europe and Canada, but at this point, we don't have any indication as to whether there may even be any linkage with the situation in Southern California. But again, 39 males between the ages of 18 and 24, all of them apparently from out of state, according to a neighbor there, found inside this rambling mansion in a gated community, a very exclusive community north of San Diego. We will continue to bring you live updates throughout the hour as we continue to cover the grisly find in Southern California. 6 hours ago to this very minute, an anonymous call came into San Diego police officials saying that bodies were inside a mansion located in Rancho Santa Fe, about 20 miles north of San Diego. This apparently is a 5,000 square foot rented estate. It was rented out last October. According to a neighbor, he had seen several middle-aged people living there over the past while. But police tell us that 39 bodies, all of them white males between the ages of 18 to 24, were found. Police are not saying what leads them to believe it was a suicide. They're not saying how they died. One police commander, Alan Fulmer, says the men appeared to be dressed alike in black pants and trainers. Now, we have our affiliate reporters at the scene. You're seeing a videotape of how the mansion looked earlier this afternoon. Night has now fallen there. A tragic and bizarre story that we're following out of the San Diego area tonight. At least 39 men between the ages of 18 and 24 found dead inside a very large mansion in the Rancho Santa Fe area. Here's a picture from earlier this afternoon. This is in an area where there are a lot of gated mansions, estates, and so on, but they are sparsely populated. They're not exactly close together, as we learned earlier from our affiliate reporters. Now you're seeing a live picture courtesy of CNN affiliate KTLA from their chopper above the mansion. Now, police are saying that these bodies were found in different rooms of the house. Apparently, the men were all dressed alike in dark pants and tennis shoes. They were found lying prone with their hands at their sides, and they are saying that there were no signs of trauma. However, police have yet to say what, again, leads them to conclude that this was a mass suicide. Now, the conclusion that's been drawn by the police report seems to be at odds with some of the information that we heard earlier from next-door neighbor Bill Strong, who was indicating that he had seen primarily middle-aged people living at the estate, which had been rented out last October. The house is owned by a man named Sam Kuchesahani. He's married, he has children. The home was rented in October to people from out of state. Let's go back and roll part of the interview with the next-door neighbor, Bill Strong, just to give you an indication of what he was saying earlier.
This guy owns the house. He told me the 3rd week of October he's renting the house out. I waved over the fence to some people. They never uttered a word.
Since that period of time?
Never met him. Just waved over the fence.
What kind of age would you say?
They have no kids.
No, who? The people you waved to over the fence.
Oh, they're middle-aged Anglos, 30 to 60, male, female, out-of-state plates.
Out of what state? You remember?
I saw a van that had New Mexico plates.
New Mexico. Do anything, noises at night? I mean,
no noises ever.
Activity, general activity during the day that you
No noises ever. No external.
Stay quiet.
Anything. No noises, no activity other than the vans coming and going.
Vans, white vans. Unloading.
As far as I know, it's on a Ford Econoline, a Ryder truck, a hotel courtesy type van like you'd see at the San Diego airport.
Just coming and going?
Several times a week they'd go in and out. The only time I ever saw them all go out together was last Saturday. I believe it was last Saturday. It was sometime in the last 4 or 5 days. Usually it's just one van go in and go out.
Yeah,
They'd sometimes rendezvous down at the Pancake House for I don't know what.
Oh, you saw them down there at the Pancake House?
Yes, I saw the vehicles and the people there. Yeah, but really not that much is known about them. Not much to go on.
Huh?
Now again, that statement from earlier this afternoon from neighbor Bill Strong, but it appears to be at odds with what we have officially learned from police, who say that the 39 bodies found in the house were all male and all between the ages of 18 to 24 years of age. As you heard Bill Strong mentioned, he had seen about 5 to 10 white middle-aged men and women at the estate. And as you can see in these live pictures from CNN affiliate KTLA, there isn't much in the way of activity outside the estate right now. It's cordoned off by police. Reporters are being kept about 200 yards away. But Bill Strong had mentioned that a group of people had left the estate last weekend, and it was one of the few times he had seen all of them, as he put it, leave at one time. So the mystery remains as to whether, when they left, did they come back with the rest of these young men who were found dead this afternoon. The call came into police about just over 6 hours ago at about 1:24 Pacific time. That would have been 4:24 Eastern time. It was an anonymous phone call. Police aren't saying anything more about the source of the call or whether they've traced it, whether it in fact came from this mansion itself. Again, it was rented out last October to from what appears to be a religious group, but we have not been able to confirm that. Welcome back as we continue to update the situation in San Diego County, where 39 bodies have been found inside a mansion, all of them white males, all between the ages of 18 to 24, inside a $1.6 million hilltop estate that was rented to a religious group last October. Again, victims of a suspected mass suicide. Police not saying what leads them to that conclusion. We're joined on the telephone right now by Joel Reed, who lives in the neighborhood. Mr. Reed, how close do you live to this estate?
We are probably about half a mile away from the house.
Have you ever had any contact with any of the folks who were living at the compound since last fall?
No, we have not.
Did you know anything about them? Was there any kind of talk through the neighborhood in terms of who they were, what they were all about, where they were from?
No, really, not at all. This area is fairly sparsely populated, and so it's not uncommon at all not to know much about your neighbors, actually.
What would be the average age of folks living in the community?
Oh, probably in this area, I would say in the 50s. It's a fairly affluent area. Housing prices would be the range you mentioned, or the amount that you mentioned of $1.6 million would be fairly normal for the area.
Now, these people were renting this property. Nanette Sosa of KOGO Radio was telling us earlier that that monthly rent would probably be in the neighborhood of $10,000 to $20,000 a month. Do you think that would be an accurate estimate?
Possibly, although actually that's not many homes would rent for that much. Usually the number would be a little under 10.
All right. Can you tell us what the reaction is in the neighborhood? How are the neighbors feeling about all of this?
Well, that's a good question. Again, you don't see your neighbors very often around this neighborhood. Certainly everybody can hear the helicopters overhead. The road in front of the house is still passable, so most people can get to and from their homes. Right now, I would say it's still very quiet around here because, again, it's a fairly quiet neighborhood, aside from the police cars and the helicopters.
All right, Joel Reed, thank you very much for being with us. We're going to go now to Joanna Casals, who is with KUSI, CNN affiliate. She joins us on the telephone. Joanna, what have you been able to learn so far?
Well, we just got out of a press conference where we found that there were 39 bodies found in this home. They were all males, ages 18 to 24. They were dressed similarly and laying on their backs with the hands to the sides. Now, there were no visible signs of trauma, so detectives are still looking at how they died. Apparently, sheriff's detectives are still waiting to go inside again to see if there are any more bodies, but they think 39 is it. This is a very wealthy neighborhood. This house apparently has 9 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms and is assessed at a value of $2 million. So pretty strange to be happening in this neighborhood. We know very little about this religious group, but we'll know information coming up.
Joanna, have police said what has caused them to jump to the conclusion that this was a mass suicide so quickly?
Well, they got a call at about 3 o'clock today to check things out around the house, and when they got there, they initially found 10 bodies. I'm not sure why they're thinking this is a suicide. They haven't really given us any more information than what I've already told you.
All right, Joanna Casals with CNN affiliate KUSI TV, thank you very much. We're going to play some tape for you now from the briefing that we've been mentioning over the past little while. San Diego Commander Alan Folmer. It's now feeding into us, so you're going to be seeing it as we do.
All that will be established by the medical examiner's office.
Are you releasing the name of the owner?
No, we don't know who the name of the owner is at this time. Let me tell you this, folks. We will not be releasing any names of any of the decedents at this time. As you're all well aware, that information will be released by the medical examiner's office after the appropriate relatives have been notified. Then we don't know anything about them at this point.
Dan, were you inside first time?
No, no one has entered that place since the deputies backed out.
Are you checking to see if they're any way related to any other
Chapo
groups that might be planning a similar kind of action?
I don't know how we could do that if we don't know who they are.
Did you observe all this through the windows then?
No, as the commander said early on, that 2 deputies entered, the responding deputies entered, they made their observation, they checked it out, checked on the welfare, they backed out.
And that's when they counted the 39?
That's correct.
Can you tell me, I couldn't be in the beginning, can you tell me how did you learn about the report and how many people have you found?
Well, it was an anonymous phone call. The number was not given at that time.
Have you found any people who survived to this?
We have not found any survivors.
Do you know how long they were living here?
Well, we know that the house is leased. We know the house was leased in October of 1996. Now, what we don't know is who the occupants are, who actually leased that the house. And we have not identified the owner of the house either at this time. And you have to remember, folks, we've just been here a short time, so there's a lot of work to be done.
Can you tell us again how many people was?
Well, yes, there's. Where did the commander go? We do a lot of things. We'll check the printout from the communication center. We'll get that. We'll get all the calls that were related to this. We'll find out exactly who this place actually belongs to. We'll try to identify that. We'll canvass the area and talk to all the neighbors. We have all of
All right, we're losing our audio from that feed. That was feeding in raw from Southern California. So you were seeing it for the first time, as were we. Just to recap what was said by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, we believe that may have been Commander Alan Folmer, but we can't confirm that right now. He's the one being quoted in most of the wire reports from the area. But recounting that 39 bodies, all of them male and all of them between the ages of 18 to 24 years of age, were found throughout this 5,000 square foot mansion, which was leased out back in October to a religious group. We do not know the name of the group or where they were from. You heard neighbor Bill Strong mention earlier that he saw a New Mexico plate on one of the vehicles, but he was saying that at the time he thought there were about 5 to 10 white middle-aged men and women living there. But again, the ages of the men all found dead were between the ages of 18 and 24. When they arrived at the compound, we do not know. This remains a large mystery at this point, a very tragic one. The police say that the bodies were all found in different rooms of the mansion. No blood was found. They were dressed similarly, all lying in a prone position, hands at their side as if asleep, all dressed in dark-colored pants and matching dark tennis shoes. No suicide notes were found, so again, the question remains, what leads police to conclude that this was, in fact, a suicide? As you heard Nanette Sosa of KOGO Radio mention earlier, it was actually by accident that reporters stumbled onto this story because it was something that came across the California wires from the coroner's office. All of this came as the result of an anonymous phone call to police officials around 1:24 p.m. Pacific time. That would have been about 4:24 p.m. Eastern time, saying that there was a mass suicide. So presumably that's part of the evaluation being used by the police to make the definite conclusion that this was a mass suicide. Again, a lot of speculation as to whether this religious group was cult-oriented. No indication whether these deaths perhaps might be related to a mass suicide in Canada over the weekend, a very fiery mass suicide. 5 members of the Order of the Solar Temple, devotees of that cult, believed suicide transports them to a new life on a planet called Sirius. And now, over the past 3 years, murder-suicides by temple followers have resulted in 74 deaths in Europe and Canada. But we have no indication at this time as to whether the members of this so-called religious group were members of that or any other cult. The mansion itself, as you can see in these aerial pictures from CNN affiliate KTLA, is again about 5,000 square feet. It's a very luxurious mansion with a red tiled roof. There's a full pantry. Those who were able to get a peek inside before police pushed everybody back said they could see a full pantry, very expensive furniture. The house was decorated in a southwestern motif, as you saw from the backside of the compound. There's a swimming pool back there. With these night shots, you can't really make out the tennis court, but there is one back there. This is a very exclusive community in northern San Diego County. It's very noted for its gated estates and polo fields, often described as the Beverly Hills of San Diego. Now, Bill Strong, who was the next-door neighbor, was mentioning earlier that he had seen a number of vehicles in the driveway and parking area of this compound. He referred specifically to a Ford Econoline van, a Ryder truck, and something that appeared to be a hotel courtesy van. And he saw them all leave last weekend going to what he thought was a local restaurant. But there's no indication as to when all of these young men were transported to this compound. 39 of them, 18 to 24 years of age, all dead, and the mystery remains as to why and how they committed suicide. We'll continue to follow this live. Please stay with CNN. Shock and disbelief and the mystery lingers in the wake of what appears to be a mass suicide in San Diego County. In Rancho Santa Fe, 20 miles north of San Diego, 39 men, all of them white males between the ages of 18 to 24, apparently members of a religious group, said to have committed suicide. We're waiting for further information from police officials. A short time ago, we showed you part of a briefing by one police official as it was feeding in live to CNN. Let's roll that tape back now to the beginning of that briefing with Lieutenant Gerald Lipscomb of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department.
I think Commander Fomas stated early on it was 18 to 24, and they all appeared to be white males. We don't know. We don't know that.
There was a suicide.
We don't know that for sure. It appears to be suicide. However, we have not determined that for sure.
Have you heard any reports from local people reporting that their own young people are missing, or does it appear these people from outside this area?
We don't know that. We haven't been able to establish that because we haven't talked to the people in the area. We haven't canvassed the area yet. We're in the process of doing that.
Do you have any estimate about when they might have died?
No, we do not. All that will be established by the medical examiner's office.
Are you releasing the name of the owner?
No, we don't know who the name of the owner is at this time. Let me tell you this, folks. We will not be releasing any names of any of the decedents at this time. As you're all well aware, that information will be released by the medical examiner's office after the appropriate relatives have been notified. Then we don't know anything about them at this point.
Yeah, were you inside personally?
No one has entered that place since the deputies backed out.
Are you checking to see if they're any way related to any other
Chapo, maybe?
groups that might be planning a similar kind of action?
I don't know how we could do that if we don't know who they are.
Did you observe all this through the windows then?
No, as the commander said early on, that two deputies entered, the responding deputies entered, they made their observation, they checked it out, checked on the welfare, they backed out.
And that's when they counted the 39?
That's correct.
Can you tell me, I couldn't be in the beginning, can you tell me how did you learn about the report and how many people have you found?
Well, it was an anonymous phone call. The number was not given at that time.
Have you found any people who survived to this?
We have not found any survivors.
Do you know how long they were living here?
Well, we know that the house is leased. We know the house was leased in October of 1996. Now, what we don't know is who the occupants are, who actually leased that the house. And we have not identified the owner of the house either at this time. And you have to remember, folks, we've just been here a short time. So there's a lot of work to be done.
Can you tell us again how many people?
That briefing from a short time ago, Lieutenant Gerald Lipscomb of the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. We can fill in one of the blanks thanks to some information from neighbor Bill Strong, who says the house is owned by a man named Sam Kuchesahani. He's married, has 3 children, rented again back in October. 39 bodies found in that estate, all of them white males between the ages of 18 and 24. Let's recap for you now what we have learned from tonight's tragic find in Southern California. 39 males were found dead inside a luxury mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, California, 20 miles north of San Diego. All of the males, all of them between the ages of 18 to 24, they were all dressed alike in black pants with matching tennis shoes. They were found in rooms scattered all over the 5,000 square foot mansion, and no suicide note was found. Police continue to investigate at this hour. Night has fallen. There isn't a lot of activity that reporters can see. They're being kept well back. But if there are any new developments in the coming hours, we will break into our regular programming.